Welcome. This video is about how to find important pieces of information from the equation of a parabola. And in this one, we're doing it from factored form. So as you can see, this example parabola has two parentheses. It's already been factored into those two separate parentheses. So that makes some things easier, some things harder, but we'll take a look at this. So let's go ahead and take a look at a simple example. Again, as the objective states on there, and as I just said, we want to find the vertex, the line of symmetry, and the intercepts. I'm going to abbreviate line of symmetry as LOS. Intercepts look like this. They either have an input or an output of 0. And I usually look for a couple x-intercepts, which are ones that end at 0, just because I know I've dealt with a lot of parabolas. I expect there to be two x-intercepts and one y-intercept. In addition, line of symmetry is always x equals something, and the vertex is also a point, but I don't know exactly what that's going to be. So here's how I find these. Well, I think the intercepts are the easiest place to start when the parabola is written like this. For the first intercept, the y-intercept, where the x is 0, I can just plug in x being 0. Since that's first point, the x is 0, to figure out the y, you just plug it in and see what comes out. So in this case, y is equal to -2 times 3, which is of course -6. So that's the point that is the y-intercept. I'm going to go ahead and erase that work now. All right, to find the x-intercepts, again, I just need to plug something in. It's just that for those two, or I think there's going to be two, the y is 0. That's a little bit harder, but I can use the zero product property right now. I have two parentheses, two factors, two numbers that equal 0. The only way that that can happen is if one of those numbers is 0. So I have two equations to solve, and I know most of you can just jump right to the answer. You don't need to write down your work for this. So that gives me my two x-intercepts. Again, I'm going to erase my work to move on to the next thing. The next easiest thing, I think, is to find the line of symmetry. The line of symmetry, kind of by definition, is right in the middle. It's where it's symmetrical on both sides. Since I have two x-intercepts, it's going to be halfway in between those two. Those are where the two x-intercepts are that I just found in the previous step. So I have to figure out what's halfway in between. And the way that I can find the middle is to just add them up and divide by 2. And that gives me -0.5. So the vertical line, x equals -0.5, is what's right in the middle. That's the middle of the parabola that I've just listed there. Now, another thing I know about the middle is that's where the vertex is. So the x-coordinate of the vertex is the same. I'm going to erase my work from the previous step. The only thing I have left is I have to figure out the output, the y value of the vertex. But I have an equation, so whether it's on my calculator or just by hand, I can find the output by plugging in. And when I work that out, that's negative 2.5 times positive 2.5. So that means the y value is negative 6.25. So that's everything I need. I have the vertex, which is a point, the line of symmetry, and the intercepts. Let's look at a slightly less simple example. Again, I'm going to start with the intercepts. And when you plug in 0, I'm going to kind of skip over my work. But when you put in 0, you should get, let's see, 0 minus 4 is negative 4. 0 minus 3 is negative 3. So it's negative 2 times negative 4 times negative 2, excuse me, which would be negative 24. And then similarly, to find the x-intercepts, I just have to set these two parentheses equal to 0. Whoops. And again, I'm going to skip over a little bit of my work there. Hopefully you see what I'm doing, but the two x-intercepts are 4 and 3. Lines of symmetry for parabolas are always x equals, and the middle of these two, again, in between 4 and 3, halfway between 4 and 3 is 3.5. If you can't just do that in your head, you can add them up and divide in half. Again, the vertex is halfway in between, so in this case, 3.5 comma something. I don't know what goes there, but I can plug in the 3.5 to find out what that's going to be. So that calculation right there is just me plugging in 3.5. I'm looking for what the output would be. And again, you can do that quickly on a calculator or however you would like to do it. So I get the output being 0.5. Go ahead and pause the video and try this one on your own to find those things. All right, I'm back. You should have completed the problem while it was paused, so see if you get the right answers here. So the y-intercept, when you plug in 0, you get positive 20. And then for the x-intercepts, whether you found them on a calculator or whether you did it algebraically by hand, you should have gotten negative 4 and 5. Line of symmetry, again, is halfway between the two x-intercepts. So in this case, .5 is halfway between. You could add them up, negative 4 plus 5, and then divide by 2 if you didn't know off the top of your head. And then just go ahead and plug in 0.5, which is the line of symmetry. That's where the vertex is at. Plug that in to see what you get out. And that would be 4.5 times negative 4.5. Sorry, I didn't have this worked out ahead of time. Let me break out my calculator here. 20.25 is what I got. So that gives you the vertex, the line of symmetry, and the intercepts. So, can you do it on your own now? Can you find all this information if I give you a parabola that's written in factored form with 2 parentheses? If you can, great. If not, watch the video again or come in after school, get some extra help on these.